Aviation enthusiasts and history buffs to Classic Duels, a captivating mini documentary series that takes you deep into the heart of the adrenaline pumping battles that unfolded in the skies during World War II. In this episode, we go back to 1944-45 and we're going to talk about how ships of the US Navy dealt with the Japanese Kamikazes. The US Navy faced one of its most severe threats during World War II in the form of kamikaze attacks. The battles between US Navy ships and Japanese kamikaze pilots during World War II were some of the most harrowing and intense naval engagements of the war. These duels, particularly prominent during the later stages of the Pacific Campaign, were marked by bravery, desperation, and the devastating impact of suicide attacks on both sides. Kamikaze, meaning divine wind pilots, were part of a Japanese military strategy that emerged in 1944 as Japan faced increasing losses in conventional warfare. The goal of these pilots was to crash the aircraft loaded with explosives directly into Allied ships, bypassing traditional defences and inflicting maximum damage at the cost of their lives. Kamikaze attacks were first used extensively during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October 1944, and escalated during battles like Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The kamikaze tactic was born out of necessity as Japan's resources dwindled. The Imperial Japanese Navy and Air Force could no longer compete with the overwhelming industrial and technological advantage of the Allies. Kamikaze units, often made up of young, inexperienced pilots, were seen as a last resort to defend the homeland. US Navy ships were equipped with advanced radar systems, fighter planes, and anti-aircraft artillery. However, the kamikaze threat presented unique challenges. Unlike conventional aerial assaults, kamikaze pilots did not follow typical engagement patterns. Their sole objective was to reach the ship regardless of their own safety. Many kamikaze planes were war-weary aircraft that were modified with additional fuel or explosives, making them both fast and devastatingly destructive upon impact. These kamikaze attacks were often launched en masse, which overwhelmed the defensive capabilities of even well-prepared ships. The kamikaze strategy was first implemented in the Battle of Leyte Gulf in significant numbers. Aircraft from both Japanese carrier-based and land-based forces targeted US carriers and escort vessels. It was during this battle that the escort carrier USS St. Lo became the first major US ship to be sunk by a kamikaze, sinking less than 30 minutes after being skillfully hit and killing over 110 sailors. Despite this, US forces prevailed in the larger battle. The Okinawa campaign was the largest air-sea battle of the Pacific War, and almost 2,000 kamikazes brought death and destruction to the American fleet between April and June in 1945. US ships, especially destroyers and smaller vessels on radar picket duty, would bore the brunt of the attacks. It was during the Okinawa campaign where the destroyer USS Laffey survived 6 kamikaze hits and multiple bomb strikes, earning the ship the nickname the ship that would not die. Another notable attack in Okinawa involved the Essex-class aircraft carrier USS Bunker Hill, where it was hit by 2 kamikaze planes within minutes, resulting in over 600 casualties and significant damage. Radar picket destroyers were stationed at varying distances from the battle area to provide early warning of incoming attacks. These, however, became prime targets for mass kamikaze pilots, and destroyers like USS Bush and USS Little were sunk by coordinated kamikaze attacks while performing this critical role. The US Navy developed several strategies to counter kamikaze attacks, such as combat air patrols, where fighters such as the Hellcat and Corsair were deployed in defensive rings around fleets to intercept kamikaze aircraft before they could reach the ships, and this strategy required continuous airborne patrols and efficient coordination between ships and aircraft. Plus, it's also worth mentioning that British Navy Seafires were also used to shoot down kamikaze aircraft. You also had proximity fuses, and these advanced fuses detonated shells automatically when near a target, making anti-aircraft fire far more effective, and they were particularly crucial for engaging fast-moving and diving kamikaze planes. Improved radar systems help detect kamikaze formations at greater distances, allowing more time to prepare defences, and US ships enhanced damage control measures, which meant that critical parts of the ships, like the flight decks and ammunition magazines, were reinforced to withstand explosions. Not to mention that Navy crews were extensively trained in fire suppression, throwing up damaged sections, and preventing secondary explosions, and this training saved many ships that might otherwise have been lost. The kamikaze threat took a severe toll on the morale of American sailors, with them witnessing relentless, often unstoppable suicide attacks that they must have found deeply unsettling. Despite the fear and chaos, US sailors displayed incredible bravery, often manning their guns under heavy fire or after their ships had sustained significant damage. I'll also mention that the US Navy placed censorship rules to help prevent spread news of the kamikaze threat and deny the Japanese any information on how effective their new weapon was. On the Japanese side, the kamikaze program was controversial. Many pilots were coerced or pressured into volunteering. Some saw it as a noble sacrifice for the emperor, while others viewed it as a tragic waste of young lives. The duels between US Navy ships and kamikaze pilots underscore the desperation of the Japanese war effort and the resilience of the Allied forces. These encounters demonstrated the evolution of naval warfare and highlighted the psychological and physical demands placed on sailors during World War II. Ultimately, while kamikaze attacks caused losses, they could not change the outcome of the war. The Allied forces' industrial and logistical superiority, combined with their tactical adaptability, ensured their eventual victory in the Pacific. So that's it for this glimpse into epic struggles of the past. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with more riveting tales of aviation history, etc. Check out 2 videos at the end, or my CD reviews, or even the playlist I've created. Cheers.